At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
The Democrats are on full attack mode today with Senator Mark Warner of Virginia and Congressman Ted Lieu of California demanding that the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, be fired over the Signal chat that somehow leaked to Atlantic Magazine. I don't recall either one of them being terribly upset when we learned that Hillary Clinton had actually used an illegal server and had transmitted classified information. Neither one of them calling for her resignation. Turns out that CIA Director John Ratcliffe told Congress under oath that the Signal chat text published by The Atlantic and revealing the so-called attack plans, which outlined the attack coming against the Yemeni Houthi rebels, proved that he did not transmit classified information. Ratcliffe also pointed out that the Signal chat was an appropriate and legal means of communication. Let's listen to John Ratcliffe.
One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe, I've got a series of questions. If you're making the statement, the Signal is a secure channel.
No, can I answer that? It is.
I've got a series
end decryption. So to finish,
I understand encryption.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So one of
So you get the gist of it there. Beyond that, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard testified under oath during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing Tuesday that there was no classified material in the messages. So once again, there's a shift of focus from the mission. The point here is that Donald Trump made a command decision that he was going to attack those who have for almost 3 years been attacking us. So the Democrats evidently are fine with sea lanes being shut, with American destroyers being under fire, with Iran supplying missiles to the Houthis. This mission was a military success, and those who are calling for resignations by Hegseth or Waltz I think are just playing politics. Let's listen to Mike Waltz defend himself.
I take responsibility. I built the group. Okay. So but look, that's the part that we have to figure out. And that's the part that embarrassing, yes. But Pete and I are veterans. We know these operations. He has been an excellent Secretary of Defense. And this was an operation that, it amazes me. I guess the Democrats were fine to leave all the sea lanes shut down. We're fine to have destroyers fired on dozens of times by this terrorist group, and fine to have Iran keep supplying them missiles. That was okay. The president takes decisive action. And now we're seeing some real success in taking down their air defenses, opening the sea lanes, taking out their leadership. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about this.
Now, this is Democrats playing politics, folks. I think you can see it. The point, of course, is that the mission was successful. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump signed an executive order Tuesday directing the FBI to immediately declassify all of the files concerning the Crossfire hurricane investigation. For those unfamiliar with that name, what we're talking about is the origins of the Russian collusion hoax. Now, interestingly, President Trump ordered the declassification of these documents at the end of his first term. They were actually given to two different journalists, the late Lou Dobbs and also John Solomon of Just the News. But then the National Security Agency asked for the documents back, and they never returned them, which means that even though the president gave an order for declassification, deep state bureaucrats defied that order, and we've never seen the actual origins of the most colossal abuse of power in American political history. This is nothing less than an abuse of power in which the full authority of the United States government and the incredible capabilities of our intelligence agencies were utilizing two pieces of quote-unquote evidence that the government knew was false, the so-called Steele dossier, which was actually fabricated and paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign for president, that has commissioned through the law firm Perkins Coie, disguised in the Federal Election Commission reports as legal research. Her campaign was actually fined for that. Or the false claim that the Democrat National Committee had been the target of an online Russian intelligence hack, which is also false. There's no evidence to support that claim. When I was framed by the Democrats in the Russian collusion hoax, I wanted to bring in expert testimony from Bill Binney, who was the leading CIA counterintelligence IT guy, and forensic evidence that proved beyond a shadow of doubt that there was no online hack of the Democrat National Committee, not by Russian intelligence or by anyone else for that matter. I could have proven, looking at the download times of the material that was purloined, that it was loaded to some kind of a portable device and most likely taken out of the back door. But the judge in my case would not allow either that witness nor that evidence to be submitted at trial. Now, finally, perhaps we will get to the bottom of a lot of which, of course, we really already know. After signing the order, Trump said that the media can review previously withheld files pertaining to the investigation, although I share the president's skepticism that many journalists will actually do so. They're not going to bother because they don't like what they're going to see, Trump said. Well, I totally agree. But it was, in fact, total weaponization. It is disgraceful. It should have never happened in this country, as the president said. But now we'll finally be able to see it all ourselves. All of it will be declassified. They haven't posted it yet because, of course, I'm anxious to go look up those documents that pertain specifically to me and their efforts to frame me. It was back on July 31st, 2016, the FBI opened an investigation into Donald Trump, then a presidential candidate, and members of his campaign, who claiming that we were colluding or coordinating with Russia to influence the 2016 election. The important thing to understand was there was no probable cause to justify this investigation, no evidence whatsoever. The opening of the investigation came just days after a July 28th meeting in which then CIA Director John Brennan briefed then President Barack Obama on a purported proposal from one of Hillary Clinton's campaign foreign policy advisors to, quote, vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security service. Clinton, of course, was, you'll remember, the Democrat nominee for president that year. By January of 2017, then FBI Director James Comey had notified Trump of a dossier known as the Steele dossier that contained salacious and unverified allegations about Trump's purported coordination with the Russian government, a key document that was used as the rationale to open the investigation. The problem was the dossier was authored by Christopher Steele, a former British intelligence officer, and was commissioned by Fusion GPS. Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign actually paid Fusion GPS during the 2016 election cycle. It is beyond belief that we still don't have the answers to how and why this all happened. But now, finally, perhaps we will find out. John Durham, who was the special counsel charged with getting to the bottom of this, took 5 long years to reach the conclusions that many of which we already knew, that this was plotted out in the Oval Office in a meeting run by Barack Obama, and that Susan Rice, and Samantha Powers, the then UN ambassador, James Comey, the FBI director, John Brennan, the CIA director, they were all in on it. Will anybody ever be held responsible? Meanwhile, good news for those who are concerned about the integrity of our elections. On Tuesday, President Trump signed a sweeping executive order aimed at trying to make sure that we have free, fair, and honest elections in this country. His order will cut federal funding for states that refuse to take steps to secure their elections, tasks the Department of Homeland Security with ensuring that illegal immigrants are not allowed to vote, and adds a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time ever. This order, called the Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections, requires voters to submit official proof of U.S. citizenship, such as a passport or a birth certificate, before they're allowed to register to vote. Federal agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, will be required to share data to help state officials identify non-citizens on voter rolls. Prior to Trump's order, that was illegal. Additionally, all mailed ballots are now required to be received by Election Day and counted. The Attorney General is tasked by the order with taking appropriate action against states that count ballots that are received after Election Day and federal elections. The order also tasks the Justice Department with vigorously pursuing election crimes, particularly in states that are out of compliance with this new federal law on election security, and calls for the prosecution of foreign interference in U.S. elections, an order which would apply against actions like those taken by the British spy, Christopher Steele, who I just spoke about. Remember him? He's the guy who produced the fake hoax document against President Donald Trump. This is, I think, a common sense idea. How about an election, all paper ballots, all on one day? I think mail-in ballots, as Attorney General Bill Barr said before he was against them, he was for them. He said they were an open invitation for election fraud. To claim that there is no evidence of irregularities, anomalies in the 2020 election is just not so. It is high time that we move to paper ballots. If the French can count 38 million paper ballots on one day, and they do, well, then we should be able to do it here in this country. Only recently, the courts in New York knocked down state law that allowed non-citizens, illegals essentially, those here illegally, to vote in local elections. That is a step in the right direction. Meanwhile, a judge finally ruled that Colombia's student protester can't be detained by the feds as the Trump administration seeks to deport her. It's time for the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and rein in these rogue judges who are exceeding their authority to thwart the will of the American people in the last presidential election. I'm Roger Stone. You're tuned in to the Stone Zone. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with the ex-influencer Cat Turd to talk about all of this and more.
Greg Kelly here with an urgent retirement warning. President Trump's return is set to usher in a new golden age, but growing trade tensions and China's ruthless attack on the dollar have rattled the markets. That's why Warren Buffett just dumped $133 billion in stocks. And so too have Jeff Bezos, Larry Page, and even Jamie Dimon, CEO of the world's largest bank. That's why thousands of informed IRA and 401k savers are now shielding their savings with gold. And the experts at Colonial Metals Group are the only folks I trust to help you to do the exact same thing, especially now after Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki warned of a coming market crash. So visit freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186. You'll get a free gold guide on how to bulletproof your wealth with gold tax-free. Plus, see if you qualify for a free home safe and as much as $7,500 in free silver. Once again, that's freegoldguide.com/Kelly.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Today, the beverage aisle looks a lot different than it used to. America's beverage companies are working together. We're delivering the options everyone wants. In fact, nearly 60% of beverages Americans buy have zero sugar. You'll find more variety than ever, including more of your favorites, now available with zero sugar. You'll also find more sizes and clear calorie information on the front of every can, bottle, and pack. We know when it comes to finding balance, the more choices, the better.
Hattaday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Hattaday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Hattaday. Hattaday, bring it on.
One of the leading and most entertaining and I think influential and educational voices is an influencer who goes by the handle Cat Turd. Now, until recently, we didn't even know what this patriot looked like. Now I know what he looks like. He wears a great cowboy hat. What I really love him about is he's a lover of animals. Like my wife and I, he has taken a number of adopted dogs. He is a lover of all animals, and he's been quite open about it. I've shut down several puppy mills here in my hometown, and well, we have more dogs than we can handle as well. Cat Turd, we got just a few minutes before we can really get into it with you, but welcome into the Stone Zone.
Hey, Mr. Stone, how you doing?
We need some truth-telling today, brother, and this is what I like about it. Yeah, that's what we like about it. I'm going to ask you, since we only got about 3 minutes before we take a break and we come back, how do you think President Trump is doing? Is he meeting your expectations?
I think he's doing fantastic. I mean, it's amazing to me that I'm 60 and he's almost 80, and he has to do everything, right? And I just tweet about it, and I'm up 17 hours a day. I'm so tired just from sitting around tweeting about it. It's really amazing the energy he has and how much he can get done.
I must say this, since I've known him well for, he hates it when I say this, 50 years. When I say that, he says, stop saying that, it makes both of us sound old. He's always been like this. He's always been indefatigable. He's always had extraordinary energy. He has never required a lot of sleep. His mind is always working, even when he's relaxing, when he's on the golf course or when he's dining. His mind is always running. He's a force of nature. He's a natural phenomena. I think his comeback victory in the last election was a testimony to his personal stamina, his perseverance, his strength, his courage, and his energy. He leaves much, much younger men. I know a number of people working for him now in the White House. They are first rate, by the way, but he's leaving them in the dust. He's like turning around an ocean liner. This country was headed over the cliff. Yeah, it was headed over the waterfall, and turning it around is a massive job. He's announced important changes in the election law. He's also going to help us get to the bottom of Crossfire Hurricane, the so-called Russian collusion hoax. And meanwhile, the Democrats are trying to go to town on this leaked signal exchange, which I don't think really proved anything other than that this administration thinks about doing the right thing before they do it. Today, I'm joined by Cat Turd, who is one of my favorite voices on X, the great social media platform owned by Elon Musk. What I like about Cat Turd is he always tells you the truth. It's got a country twang to it, but he's a straight shooter. You're in the Stone Zone. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back. Cat Turd, I think I read that you had been swatted. Tell folks what that is and why it's so darn dangerous.
Yeah, well, it's attempted murder is what it is. So this is the fourth time I've been swatted. I'm a veteran of it now, but what they do is somebody calls, and in my case, they said, if I can remember this one right, there's been so many, that I had killed my son and my wife, which, I'm not married, I don't have a son. and then I was going to kill the cops when they got there. So what it does is they try to create a panic, and they and this was 2 a.m. in the morning, by the way, and they try to get either, somebody, like, what happens if you're armed and people start trying to come through your door in the middle of the night? First thing you do is grab your protection. And then the cops, of course, are on high alert. What they try to do is just get you murdered. And it should be charged like that, too. It should be charged attempted murder. Lucky for me, I live in a small town. Of course, the first time, which was a few years ago, every cop in the county came pretty much to my property and was with guns drawn and everything. But since then, I've gotten to know all the local cops and all the local people. So now, for me, they just kind of call me and say, you're getting swatted again. So, but a lot of people aren't like that. They're in bigger towns, and it's a little bit worse for them.
Yeah, I have a long list of my friends this has happened to. I'm not going to say their names because it just endangers, I think energizes some miscreants to go out and phone in new swatting on some of them. It's extraordinarily dangerous, but it's not surprising when you have members of Congress like Jasmine Crockett escorting people to violence, basically urging people to attack Tesla charging stations, Tesla dealerships, individual Tesla owners and drivers. This is all the Democrat Party seems to have left. I mean, I also saw her assault reporter actually saw the video last night. I guess she has some kind of immunity because she's a member of Congress. But this entire coordinated attack on Tesla, it's disgusting. It's un-American. I really hope that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, can get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, and they just got Dan Bongino in there. But, yeah, so just, so the difference between my swattings, I was swatted 3 times during the Biden regime, and nothing ever happened. And this time when I was swatted, I was instantly, a few days later, contacted by the FBI and given an FBI, person I can call and a phone number. And so, I mean, the difference was night and day. I mean, somebody was immediately on it, investigating it.
So I'm going to ask you this. You see the Democrats have their panties in a twist about the whole Signal story, in which there was debate among the top advisors, the Secretary of Defense, the head of the CIA, the National Security Advisor, the Director of National Intelligence, a debate before carrying out the president's directive to attack the terrorist Houthis, who have been attacking American interests now for 2.5 years without any response from us. I think this is just the old legacy media running a test to see whether they still have the power to get scalps like they did during Trump's first term. What do you make of it?
Exactly what it is. They're trying to pull, this off and see if they can get everybody mad and uproar. And the Republicans, they got to quit playing that game. They have the gavel in the Senate. They have the gavel in the House. They don't have to have any of these hearings. They don't have to do any of this shit. They should have just put out a statement that it should have been real simple. It should have been the operation was a success. Nothing classified was leaked. The Atlantic is famous for being liars and fake news, and that's all we need to talk about it. And that's what the Republicans are going to have to start doing. Don't play into the game.
Yeah, this reporter Goldberg was the one who specifically wrote the false story that Donald Trump had referred in a foreign cemetery to veterans who had given their life in the service of their country as suckers and losers. I think there were 14 people present when this allegedly happened. Only one of them, General John Kelly, guy with an axe to grind, he got canned by Donald Trump for insubordination and incompetence. He's the same guy that remembered suddenly days before the election that Donald Trump had allegedly said that he wished more of his generals had been like Hitler. For some reason, that memory on his part was repressed for 4 years. He suddenly remembered it just days before the last general election. This guy
had an epiphany.
Yeah, it's almost laughable.
And they've changed it in the last. They've changed it in the last 12 hours from top secret to secret to classified. And today it was sensitive. They just keep downgrading it.
Yeah, it's just it's raw politics. I think people can see this. What do you say about these activist federal judges who seem to be countermanding the decisions made in the last presidential election, whether it is saying that the president cannot deport terrorists and dangerous criminals, or whether it is judge saying that he cannot ban men from playing in women's sports, or whether it's yet another federal judge saying that he cannot ban transgendered people from being in our military. Yet another judge saying that Elon Musk and his Doge operation to ferret out waste, fraud, and corruption in federal spending, of which he's found not millions, not billions, but trillions, that he can't have access to Social Security records. It seems to me that they are just countermanding the will of the American people. And it's easy to have Republicans and Trump supporters say, oh, impeach them, but impeaching a federal judge is a very serious step. It requires an indictment in the House, which is like charges, and then a full trial in the Senate, and 2/3 of the Senate to remove one of these tyrannical judges. Not easy. What do you think?
You're never going to get them removed. The thing about impeachment is if you could get Republicans to do it, but they won't do it because they never stick together. At least you can have a trial and run them through the mud a little bit. But the truth is, at some point, Trump and them is going to have to make a decision. Either the whole 4 years is done, and these little judges from these little districts, these little liberal districts, are going to run the country, or he's going to run it, and they're just going to have to do it. And I'm sorry. That's what I mean. Look at Joe Biden. He didn't defy a little district somewhere, and over there in Delaware, he defied the Supreme Court with the ruling of paying back the student loans. But they had the right approach when they finally told the judge, I think yesterday, Bondi said, these are top secrets, and we're not answering any more of your questions, and we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything else about it. I mean, they got that guy and 3 blue-haired law clerks behind him, and there's really nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, I had former Congressman Matt Gaetz on the show the other day. He's an attorney, I'm not, but he takes the same position, which is the president should only obey the ruling of a 3-judge appeals panel, and that in every one of these cases, the judge has usurped his executive authority in violation of the Constitution. On the other hand, they're used to having their way. They have had their way for so long. I agree with you. I think Speaker Johnson, who I like, by the way, and I think has a near impossible job, he's got a very, shall we say, diverse caucus. So half his members are what we call rhinos. Those are Republicans in name only. They're only interested in getting a paycheck, getting reelected, and that's kind of it. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to do anything controversial. They have no real interest in making government smaller, less intrusive. They give lip service to the America First agenda. They have to support President Donald Trump, the same way they had to support President Ronald Reagan, because they are so popular back in their districts. In fact, in most cases, they're more popular than the member of Congress, but they really don't have any belly for the fight. And then you've got the other members, the radicals, as it were, people like Tim Burchett and Eric Burleson and Anna Paulina Luna and other brawlers who understand they were sent to Washington to bring legitimate change. And poor Mike Johnson's got to get a majority for anything he wants to do. It's like herding cats. It's got to be extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah, it's if we had a 20-seat majority, then he could get about anything done he wanted to do. But when you got, and then of course that we have I call them the Mull principles crowd, who they just don't like Trump, and no matter what he votes on, they're going to vote no, and then claim the high road. And then the truth is, they just don't like him.
Well, and I'm going to be honest with you. We have 3 upcoming special elections. Now, they're in districts that are, went heavily for Donald Trump in the last election. They're in districts that are nominally Republican districts. But I have seen some early polling that shows that left Democrats are energized because they're angry that the deep state is being taken down and exposed. And Republicans we're kind of fat and happy because Trump is doing such a great job, and he's doing essentially all the things he said he would do in the election, that I think turnout is going to be skewed. So I'm highly confident we win Matt Gaetz' seat. Jimmy Petronas, who is the state CFO.
It was the only who called me just as soon as I got swatted, by the way. He's a good guy. He was the first one who contacted me when I got swatted again.
He is a very good guy. He's a very decent human being. He's a gentleman. He's a fine public servant. He's going to be a great congressman. But I also think in that other upstate district, which is Mike Walsh's district, which is leans Republican, but not as solidly Republican, I think it is a race. I think we will win it.
Yeah, but District 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the president and the vice president, maybe Don Trump Jr. and others, need to get in there and campaign.
They do, because they're outspending. By the way, they're outspending. They're outspending almost 100 to 1 down there.
Well, and then there's of course the district of Elise Stefanik, New York 21. Now that seat is not technically vacant because she has not yet resigned. I think she's waiting for the 2 seats in Florida to be filled. I think, by the way, that her appointment is among the very best appointments. She's going to be a great UN ambassador. But that district, the Democrat, who's a local farmer, whose family's lived in the district for many decades, he never mentions in his advertising that he's a Democrat. He's running on a 2-part platform. He wants to close our border, and he thinks we should ferret out waste, fraud, and corruption. In other words, he's running as a de facto Republican. But he has $2 million in the bank, courtesy of Hakeem Jeffries and AOC. And Republicans don't have a primary. The voters don't get to choose. They're looking at State Senator Dan Steck, who refused to endorse Trump in 2016 and 2024, and who also voted in the state Senate for that very clever change in law which extended the statute of limitations by many decades to allow E. Jean Carroll to file this phony sexual assault legal case against Donald Trump, where she won an $80 million judgment from a Manhattan jury. Amazing to me because she claimed on the day she was assaulted she was wearing a particular dress, and it was proven that that dress, a designer dress, had not yet even been designed and sold. The same woman who told CNN that she found the whole idea of rape sexy, I believe, was what she said.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper, she said it was rape was sexy, and he went, cut, let's go to commercial, and then she started hitting on him. He's gay.
But the guy who voted to change the law to allow that prosecution, Dan Steck, is a heavy contender for that seat. I don't know why Trump supporters would be motivated to come out and vote for him. It remains to be seen. Again, party leaders, not the voters, will choose the nominee. I've been thinking about the 2028 ticket. Here's my thinking, Cat Turd. Tell me what you think. I should probably flip a coin. How about AOC for president and Jasmine Crockett for vice president? Or maybe it should be the other way around.
They're so dumb. They're so dumb. They'd probably pick that. And then I don't even know why Tampon Tim's out there. And by the way, I'm the one that came up with that name.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah. So the way Tampon Tim, the name came out was, I was actually in a doctor's office in the waiting room, and I started getting a bunch of messages. I was looking down at my Twitter account, and Dan Bongino on his podcast did a call out to me and said, "Hey, Cat Turd, you got to come up with a name for Tim." He's like, he has tampons in the men's room, which I didn't know nothing about at the time. He said it's, tampon guy or the tampon guy or something, but come up with a name for it. And so I just posted Tampon Tim, and boy, did that stick.
Yeah, it really did stick. I saw him yesterday. First, he was cheering that the Tesla stock was headed down. Then he realized that the state pension fund in his state of Minnesota had over, I think, $3.5 million worth of stock was taking a beating, hurting the state employees. If you're just tuning in, folks, we're talking to Cat Turd here in the Stone Zone on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Here we talk politics and we tell it to you straight. This is where you can get the stone cold truth. Don't go away. We'll be right back. I want to ask Cat Turd about Disney's new movie, Snow White, why it's losing money, and a bunch of other political topics. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse April 3rd, only on Netflix.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Cat Turd, as I said in the beginning, one of the things I love about you is your love for the critters, the four-legged kind. How many dogs do you have on your property today?
Oh, well, so right now I have 5 dogs and 6 cats. So I got 11 pets right now, and it fluctuates, according to sometimes I find them and I keep them. Sometimes I try to find them new homes. It's just according, how the situation is. I recently had one of my old cats died about a month ago. She was almost 16, but that happens when they get older. It's rough.
It's very hard to become like a member of your family. My wife and I had a 3-legged dog. He was a Wheaton Terrier. We named him Oscar. My wife found him on the side of the road. He had evidently been hit by a car. He had one of his front left leg was badly mangled. We took him directly to the vet. We couldn't save his leg, unfortunately. It had to be amputated. But I must tell you, Oscar got around pretty darn good on 3 legs. He was amazing. I could throw the frisbee, and he would run after it. He was not young when we got him, and I miss him every day. He lived a long and happy life with us. My wife won't let me go to the local pet store on Saturdays. They have essentially a pet adoption day where you have all these homeless pets. I would come home with a carload full of dogs.
Yeah, it's hard. All mine, every cat I got left came out of the woods. I found one in Louisiana on a job years ago, and then the dogs I just find on the side of the road starving to death or abandoned. I've never been to a pet shelter and grabbed one. They just all kind of come to me. I had 13 recently. I've had 2 die in the last year that were old. My old dog, Smiles, who was, I don't even know how the doctor said, he thought he was anywhere from 12 to 13. He was old when I found him, and he lived with me 6 years. So he almost made 20. He was old.
This is breaking news. I see the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, no surprise there, blocks the Trump administration from deporting violent gang members via the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. This is the same D.C. Court of Appeals who essentially sat on my appeal of a gag order in which I was not allowed to defend myself in any medium at all, radio, television, online, when I was falsely accused in the Russian collusion hoax. And rather than rule on that, they sat on it for 8 months while I was sustaining horrific damage from the Washington Post and CNN, lying repeatedly, calling me a traitor to my country, saying that I was a Russian intelligence asset, that I had colluded with others, that I had received stolen documents and passed them on to the Trump campaign. 100% false. No evidence of any of that presented by the government. But then the day before my trial, the same appeals court that says Trump can't deport dangerous terrorists ruled that my motion wasn't ripe for a decision because I had not first asked the judge who placed the gag order on me to remove it. That's the state of justice in the District of Columbia. All right, I'm afraid we have to leave it there. I want to thank my guest, Cat Turd, for joining me today in the Stone Zone. We've tried to give you the stone cold truth. I thank you again, my friend, for being with us.
Thanks, Roger. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the Stone Zone. Until we meet again, well, yes, God bless you and Godspeed. And, God bless America.